Abby, and I did a review on Abilify, and it seemed to get a lot of views. I've also tried a lot of other newer medications, so I'm thinking about doing sort of like a series of Abilify versus all the other ones that I've tried. So anyway, okay, I am going to review Abilify versus VIIBRYD. Also, mind you, I am diagnosed with major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder, PTSD, and I have some other intense things. But yeah, I don't want to say them on here. Anyway, okay. So, I was on VIIBRYD, I think, in 2016 for about probably 6 months, I would say. I'm a very sensitive person, and I'm extremely skeptical every time I'm about to try a new medication. I freak out. I'm like, no. I've had like adverse side effects to a number of medications, so I am always super skeptical, and I do all my research thinking that's gonna protect me from the badness. But anyway, so my psychiatrist at the time had told me there's this new medication out called VIIBRYD. There's no generic name for it yet. She listed out like slim side effects, and I was like, all right, so I'll try. I went on, and I didn't have any negative side effects at first. I did notice I felt a little bit better. I think I started on 20 and then bumped it up to 40 milligrams. My issue with the VIIBRYD was that it's expensive. I think I had pretty good insurance at the time. Mind you, I'm in the US. And because there's no brand name available, you have to buy, since there's no generic available, you have to buy the brand name. And my insurance wouldn't approve it. I had to get like prior authorization from the insurance, which was really frustrating. So that's annoying. Anyway, I started feeling a little bit better. Mind you, I then at the time, I started going through what I would call is like my trauma season. It's around the anniversary type of year, time of year. And at this point in my life, it was about a 3-month period. Now this does not happen. I've worked through it, and it's like incredible. I never thought that I would get to this point. Anyway, at this time, I think this was like the peak of, this was like pretty bad for me during this time. Sorry for that. This was during the peak of like the worst my stuff had been. And I remember like what ended up happening was, at the time I was on VIIBRYD and Prozac and Vyvanse. Prozac is for the nightmares. Vyvanse is for ADHD. And this mix was working for me for a while, and I liked it. I didn't have any negative side effects, and I felt like it was making my depression a little bit better. So what ended up happening was I started leading into my quote-unquote trauma season, and my nightmares were triggered. And this was probably the worst that my nightmares had ever been. They were so traumatic. I would wake up and I wouldn't know what was real. I wouldn't know if what I just dreamt had just happened. I wouldn't know if I was still in a dream, because I would have those kind of dreams where I would wake up in a dream and think I'm awake, but I was actually still asleep. That's traumatic, incredibly traumatic. So anyway, during this time, my nightmares had gotten triggered, and the Prozac that I was taking was supposed to be helping for the nightmares. And so anyway, what ended up happening was the Prozac wasn't really working, and I was having such bad nightmares, and I just got to the point, it was like, I think 3 nights in a row, maybe 4 nights, and I refused. Like, I'm not going to sleep. Like, I won't. And I was having such intense, like, crying spells. I couldn't do anything. Mind you, at this time, I also had just moved to a place. I lived in a very sunny place, and then I moved to a very foggy place. And at the time, I didn't know the impact of, like, growing up in a sunny area and then moving to a foggy area, overcast, gloomy kind of place. So all these things combined, I think, like, created the perfect storm for chaos in my mental health. So anyway, I had these nightmares, and I was so traumatized of even just being in my room and even going to sleep. I didn't want to go to sleep. I would, as soon as I'd close my eyes, I'd start freaking out. I just pushed myself super hard, because I was like, dude, no. Like, I couldn't tolerate the nightmares anymore. I just wanted them to stop, but they wouldn't. So I ended up feeling horribly, and I remember I was crying so hard I couldn't work. I could not control my emotions, and I know that my, like, trauma response when these nightmares happen, and when this traumatic season used to start, it was so intense for me. Anyway, so what ended up happening was it was so bad that I ended up the psychiatrist was like, the VIBRYD's obviously not working. I ended up seeing another psychiatrist, and this is when they put me on Abilify. And the process of me going from VIBRYD to Abilify was quite the story. So maybe I will post that later. It's a little bit, I don't know. I want to put these videos out so people don't feel so alone, and I want to break the stigma, but at the same time, the stigma is real. And I work in social media, so posting these things, when employers do background checks on me, they see all my videos. So I will think about it. Anyway, so I switched to Abilify, and probably within a week, I was fully stable again. And it was holy crap, thank you. Wow, this worked right away. at the time, my psychiatrist was like, you need to do inpatient or outpatient, like you need like a full-on program to cope with like this PTSD and your nightmares and everything. Well, since the Abilify kind of like leveled me out, and I was like, I'm good. Like I have shit to do. I have to work. Like I have to do things. I don't have time or money to be going and doing all this treatment. So I was like, I'm good. And I ended up, it was crazy. Like so many things happened right at this exact time. And it was a lot to deal with all at once. But, yeah, I'm actually definitely going to upload a video about this after. So anyway, I switched to Abilify. It started working, and I was like, I need to just get back to real life because I've already spent like a couple weeks. I've already lost a couple weeks dealing with this nonsense. Anyway, I was super excited about Abilify. I was kind of worried because when I started doing the research, I took the Abilify without doing the research. And when I started looking it up, I was like, oh my God, it's an anti-psychotic. Like, what does that mean? Like, it was so hard for me. I was just like, am I psychotic? Like, what does this mean? Anyway, after some like consults with my doctors, they were like, you have such bad, depression and the PTSD is so bad. So, you know, we like to like offset that with the Abilify. The Abilify can be used for depression. So yeah, they put me on that, and I realized that I didn't have any like additional diagnoses or whatever. And then I ended up staying on it. It worked really well for me. I was totally stable. I also have PMDD. And it actually like made my PMDD go away for a while, which was really freaking nice. After probably like about July, August, September, October, November, December, January, probably, I don't know the exact timeline of how long I was on the Abilify, but I think it was like almost 2 years. I'm not sure, maybe longer. Now that I'm thinking, it had been a while. I was on it for a while, and I didn't have any side effects. And then it took away my PTSD nightmares. It totally chilled me out. It brought my anxiety down from like a base of like on a scale of 1 to 10, my anxiety was at like a 15, and this brought my anxiety like baseline probably down to like a 6, so it was like a little bit more manageable and not so miserable. Also, one more thing I will say about the VIIBRYD was that on the VIIBRYD I still had incredible amounts of anxiety. It did help a little bit with my depression, but the Abilify was like a little bit of a magic pill, and it would just literally, it's like a faster acting, it's like a fast acting medicine. It's so, I don't know, it's kind of like a little miracle pill, I think, honestly. It works for me really quickly, but in the long run, so what ended up happening, and I explained this in one of my other videos, was that it started giving me really bad side effects. I couldn't sleep at night. I would wake up. I could sleep, but it wasn't like REM sleep. So I was always tired, and I would sometimes wake up in the middle of the night at like 2:05 or something, and I could not go back to sleep. I would just be so miserable, so exhausted, but could not sleep. And it wasn't even like an anxiety thing. It was like, I don't know, something about it just like stimulates you or something. So yeah, one of the other side effects that I talked about in my other video is that it literally made me, first off, I started rapidly gaining. At first it was fine. I didn't really notice anything. Over the course of time, I had started to gain 10 pounds a month. I ended up, what it would do is I would wake up in the middle of the night. I wouldn't actually wake up. I would be like sleepwalking, and I would go into the kitchen and I would eat like a whole box of cookies. Like I specifically remember at this point in time in my life, like I was obsessed with Oreos, and I remember like I would be so depressed, and there wouldn't be like food open late at night, and I'd be hungry. So I'd go to the supermarket and I would get a box of Oreos, and it would be like a treat. Like I would have like one or two, and I'd be like, okay, like have some later or whatever. So anyway, in the middle of the night, I would get up in my sleep and I would eat a freaking whole thing of Oreos. Like I would wake up and there would be like Oreos in my bed, like on me, like just like all kinds of weird stuff. And it would give me these, like, over time, it started giving me these crazy cravings. Like, it's almost like if you have any addictive behaviors at all, at all, it will amplify them like gasoline. I remember it made me so weird with food. I would get these cravings that were like indescribable. Like, I need to eat a cheeseburger right now, and if I don't get that cheeseburger, the way I got with food reminded me of like how a drug addict acts when they don't get their drugs. Yeah, so I would all of a sudden get these cravings, and I'd be like, I need this cheeseburger, I need carbs, heavy carbs, fried food. Like, it's almost like when you're hungover or something, and you're like, I need to eat this food to like rejuvenate my body. If I wouldn't give in to those cravings, and let's just say I would, like my therapist used to tell me, let's practice putting, like, let's get all of the sweet food out of the house, all the bad food. Let's have some like hummus and carrots in the fridge. That way, in the middle of the night when you're hungry and you get up, you don't even have the option to eat ice cream or cookies. And so, oh my God. So anyway, I would get these cravings, and instead of eating the cheeseburger, I would try to eat the carrots and hummus. And because I wouldn't like give into it, my mood, it was almost like my brain was like, yo, feed us carbs, so we can whatever freaking molecule or whatever the fuck it's called, increase serotonin or whatever. Because when I wouldn't give in to the cravings, it was like I would get really freaking depressed. It was weird. So there's that. And then also it would give me these really strange freaking brain zaps. And the brain zaps were like, I would walk. It would almost be like a combination of brain zaps mixed with vertigo, where I would go to walk, and as soon as I would, like, when I would take a step, like, my lips at the same time and like my hands would like start tingling and go numb. And it was so disorienting, and like, what the fuck is going on? Am I about to pass out? Am I getting paralyzed? I don't know what's happening. And it would be like, I would take the step and then it would come back. I would take another step, it would come back. It would go away. It was so freaking weird. And sometimes it would just come and go. It didn't seem to have like a specific trigger time. It just like came when it wanted. Sometimes it would last 3 to 5 days. Sometimes it would last for 5 minutes. It was very uncomfortable. So over time, the side effects with Abilify were really shitty. It worked amazing for me to get me stable initially, but because I didn't deal with the deeper issues, I had to stay on it longer. And then it just, like, you know, it has all these side effects. So all the side effects started coming out, and then my doctor ended up being like, one day she was like, you have officially gained 80 pounds and we need you to stop taking this medication because you're going to get diabetes, and now that's gonna like create a whole new set of issues. So then I went on another medication, which I will do another video on. Yay. I can't believe this video is so long. Okay. So, giving this update now, I have another update to give you guys, because in my previous video on Abilify, I had mentioned that I took it for a while, had to stop taking it. Well, I was off of it for about maybe a year and a half or 2 years. I'm so sorry. I am the worst with timelines. It was either a year and a half or 2 years that I had been off of it. And I actually remember really liking Abilify, that it would like kind of calm me down. Anyway, I started going through a really rough patch, and my psychiatrist was like, let's just try Abilify for a few days. So I tried it, and it was really interesting. We did sort of a little test to see if it could help me in a short term to kind of like get me through a little rough patch, and it was interesting. So anyway, that's my update. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Me personally, I root for Abilify over VIIBRYD. It was cool that there weren't a lot of side effects with VIIBRYD. Both medications, VIIBRYD and Abilify, are both expensive. The generic brand of Abilify made me gain more weight than the brand name. That needed prior authorization from the insurance too, which is really annoying. Anyway, so that's my update. If you guys have questions, post them in the comments. If there's any other medications you want me to do a comparison to, write it in the comments, because I have been on so many medications, so I can do other comparison videos if you guys are interested. So let me know. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and like my video. Thanks. Bye.